Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm reporting to you live from the courthouse. This is the fourth and final day of the trial of Big Boss. The jury is now deliberating over Big Boss's fate. May God have mercy on his soul. Hello, everyone. This is Attorney T.
Here with Attorney K.
And we are at the final day of the trial of Big Boss.
It's coming to a close.
The jury has deliberated and they have a verdict. And as a special treat for those listening at home, we are actually going to listen to this deliberation with you. We don't know what was said, we don't know the verdict, so we're going to be just as surprised as you are.
We tried to make this as live as possible, and I think the jury will make the right choice. I'm hopeful that they see the light and will come to a generous and merciful conclusion today for my client, Big Boss.
Yes, I'm sure that the jury will come to the conclusion that the families that Big Boss have harmed will be given justice.
Thank you again to jurors Luffy Webster and Metal Gear Resurrection's own Johnny Flores Jr. I am looking forward to hearing their live jury deliberation.
Yes.
Shall we peek in?
Let's peek in. Let's creak open the door and listen.
Let's head over. Move away from the mic.
Oh boy.
They leave the room.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, we can still hear them, so they're still here.
Let's trash them now.
Yeah, that's the time. All right, Johnny, what do you say? Tell me your verdict.
Okay, the whole experience of this thing, I've been playing the series since 1998, and I cannot say he is innocent. What type of, incarceration? I feel like with him and his silver tongue, he cannot talk people. He needs to be, in a Colorado Supermax deep underground where, that's it. Throw away the key. You are not seeing anybody anymore. You've destructed this whole entire world time and time again.
I did not expect that.
With an occasional therapy appointment or something, I don't know, because he is way too dangerous to left with people. The way how he's charismatic and all that, how people just follow him globally, oh god, I can't say okay, is he innocent? Hell no, he perpetrated all these things, basically holding the world hostage time and time again. But he has to be not made an example, but you gotta do something with him. You can't just let him run around still. He obviously has to be taken to a facility for help. He needs help, dire help.
Okay, I'm cut again because I thought that Johnny was my enemy.
Yeah, I was very hopeful that I had at least one person on my side.
No one's on your side.
And I am regretting the choice now of letting him be a part of this jury because he was not only quick to say that he's innocent, but he was already picking the places to incarcerate him in. I don't think that was his job. So he was jury and executioner. He got a little power.
I thought Luffy I knew was on my side. That was done.
We haven't heard Luffy yet.
Okay.
We haven't heard Luffy yet.
Okay.
I'm hopeful.
Okay. All right, we're gonna see where Luffy lands on this, and then we'll double back. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so happy to hear this. I was so ready. I was I'm ready to fight. Let's do this. I'm putting the boxing gloves on.
God damn it.
Ah!
But yeah, no, 100% guilty. Put him in jail and throw away the key.
And you made such a good point early on in the episode where him and David are the same people.
Yeah.
They're both both their names are taken away. Both their abilities to have children are taken away. It's just David decided to no, I'm going to fight for people I'm going to fight for people who can't fight for themselves, and I don't want a war, a never-ending war all the time. Because
Yeah.
after Shadow Moses, he was like, no, we're going to do this, like, legitimate way with Hal. Like, we're going to try to, like, take Metal Gears out, like, through the UN. even though
Yes.
even though they became, like, enemies afterwards. But, like, still, like, that's a complete opposite what Big Boss would have done. Big Boss was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to have Metal Gears and just, like, make the world my hostage.
Yes. I mean, like you said, and like we talked about in the discussion, Snaven is such a damning example of what BB could have been. Because
Yeah.
Snaven is also, like you mentioned, Snaven is also labeled a terrorist, but he doesn't embrace that. He fights against it and continues to try to make the world a better place. I would love to see a world where BB would have had that same attitude because he's such a driven person and is such a cult of personality that he really could have put so much good into the world if he just used his charismatic powers for good instead of evil. And then, like you said, I was like, you said he's so charismatic that you couldn't put him in like a light security place, and he needs to be somewhere where he's locked away, where he can't talk his way out of the situation. And I agree with that so much. I hadn't even thought about that. I was like, wow, if you do put him in a situation where it's light security, he will either talk his way out of it or just escape with his own skill set. Like, it's going to be really tough to really keep him in a cell somewhere. So yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah, no, you can't put him like in general population where he'll probably like become like a super,
Yeah.
like leader of the biggest
Yeah, all the
like
other
prison
prisoners.
gang in the world.
Yeah. Oh
That's
my
what I'd
god,
be
that would
afraid
be
of. Like,
wild.
oh god.
Yeah, he would even get the guards on his side. Like, he would get everybody on his side.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he did at one point for Snake Eater where he kind of like had like the guard a little bit on his end. A little
Yeah.
bit.
I totally forgot about that. He did get Johnny on his side.
Okay, I just want to like have my thoughts. The idea of Snake running a prison, like some sort of big bad like prison gang shit. Awesome. I think that's so fucking
that
cool.
would kind of be like a cool little side op or cool little mission. Because you could totally see him doing that. And I totally forgot about that moment in Snake Eater where he does that. It just goes to show you that it's beyond his skill set. He has this air of personality and charisma that also helps him.
Dude could talk his way out of a prison cell, more or less.
And they're not wrong.
That dude needs like isolation from everyone. Like this dude is too dangerous.
It's kind of akin to like Joker and Harley Quinn, right? Where you have this professional who's supposed to be working with you and like assisting you becoming a better person. It's just you drag them down there with you.
Oh my god.
So they make a very, very good point.
Yeah, you got him talking. He's like, I have a family too, and I'm gonna be with him one day.
Yep.
Like, oh no, don't tell him that.
Yep. Oh my god. Okay, so are you saying guilty then?
Yeah, but he guilty
Okay.
because like he can't just execute him or anything. It's like he has to like be like put somewhere. It's like even if they
Okay.
try to like reform him in some way.
I would like to see some reform for BB. My heart is swayed a little bit. I feel for him. He's been through such a hard life. He needs somebody to talk to. He needs some kind of therapist to help him process the boss's death and everything else that he went through. So yeah, super max security, but also he has like a therapist that talks to him regularly.
It'll be like Silence of the Lambs, where he's like behind a glass case prison.
Would have to be like Silence of the Lambs just to keep him from escaping.
Exactly. Like no, we've seen him escape before.
Yeah.
He'll be throwing his rations at the guards. Like, come on, eat them.
God.
Eat my spoiled rations.
Well, that's why he's got to be in the Silence of the Lamb, where it's like you just get little air holes at the top so he can't throw his rations out.
Exactly.
All right. If we're in agreement, then I guess we can let them know that the deliberations are good. I'll message them.
To think they came back to us in that Discord voice chat with happy feelings and they had giggles, only for it to result in that quick ass guilty verdict. That was a couple of minutes. They walked in that room, already shook hands and knew.
I don't know. I think I'm all right with it.
I was full of hope. I thought I swayed them. I thought I did a damn good job.
You thought this was going to be OJ? No way.
OJ
No way,
in a
OJ.
court of law was declared. I can't even finish that sentence. I can't even finish that sentence. I thought I was the Kardashian. I forgot the other attorney. I was coming in with my best.
To be fair, it's damn near impossible to defend Big Boss. It's because, like, here's the thing. Even to the Big Boss apologists out there, like, yes, I'm talking to you.
We're gonna lose a couple followers for that.
Make your own podcast. Anyway, to the Big Boss apologists out there, even you must concede that he did some stuff.
At the bare minimum, he's harmed people. I think too, when we talk about the trial of Big Boss, we talk about trying him for war crimes and kidnapping and creating child soldiers and holding weapons of mass destruction. We can talk about his motivations and whether he was right or wrong, but you can't deny that people were harmed.
Yeah. And look, to the
You're like leaning over.
because I feel for these Big Boss fans out there. I do. And if I'm gonna level with you, I like him too. But like I like him in the same vein that I like Tony Soprano, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
They're cool. And I'm like, man, they're fucking awesome, you know? But guys, let's be real.
Yeah, just because someone's a main character doesn't mean they're a good person or a good character. It's just we're supposed to sympathize with them.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the game.
Honestly, I think Tony Soprano is a pretty close comparison coming to think of it. Because, like, there are multiple episodes of The Sopranos. If you haven't seen that show, please watch it. It's incredible. But there are scenes in that show where, like, I empathize with Tony. And I'm like, damn, he's funny.
Yeah.
He's charismatic.
As all hell.
And he's so cool, right?
And multi-dimensional. This he has a fully fledged out or like described detailed personality.
Yeah. But you cannot deny that he has killed people. He's the leader of a criminal organization that has done a lot of harm to the community. He's fucked over every person that was loyal to him.
Yeah, people in his own family, his own team.
Yeah.
Just for the betterment of his own financial wealth or a person. He's done that.
Yeah. So I view Big Boss the same way I view a mafia mob boss.
It's you can empathize or sympathize, but
And I could even a part of me likes Tony Soprano, even though that he's problematic. But you know, you can't help it with a character like that.
it's really Big Boss is really larger than life, and I think what people hold on to is Metal Gear Solid 3 as well, because you think about Big Boss, we see him in all these older games when he's like in his like later years and he's already done all these great evils, but in 3 it's kind of like he's not there yet and you're like, oh my god,
3
I love him.
3 is the only game where you could completely be on the side of Big Boss, because like at that point the environment is just happening to him. Like he's not doing anything. He's just trying to survive. Literally, because the game survive. Anyway, but like he hasn't done anything bad. Yeah. He's just doing his mission. He's doing what he's told, and he hasn't committed a crime yet. You know?
Yeah. And he goes in, gets hurt by his mom, has to be brought out, healed, and brought back in, and is hurt immediately and again throughout the entirety of that game. So it's when I think these Big Boss sympathizers are looking to that portion of his life and going like, look, you see how badly he was hurt? Like, how could you blame him? And it's like, you can blame him. You really can.
So are you openly conceding that this was a fair trial and he deserves a guilty verdict?
Am I Attorney K or am I just K today?
Do you want to flip a coin on that one?
So, I don't know if we spoke about this in the beginning of these trial episodes, but in order to decide who was the prosecution and who was the defense, we flipped a coin. some of you may not know this. I am the biggest Big Boss hater. I despise him. If he has no haters, I am dead. I can't stand him. I really there's really nothing you can do to explain away his choices. And we flipped that coin, and of course, I was given the lovely job of defending him. And since that was my job, I was going to do it to the best of my ability.
You did a good job.
I tried really hard.
Honestly, I was relieved to not represent Big Boss. But as the trial was going on, I got a little jealous of you.
How creative I had to be.
Yeah. Because like from my end, it's literally shooting fish in a barrel. I'm like, all right, this is a slam dunk case.
Let me pick from the long list of offenses.
It's like the definition of a slam dunk case. Like I could have said anything and gotten a guilty verdict.
You could have just stood silent while I try to fight off all the allegations.
Exactly. But like a piece of me kind of wanted to be like Saul Goodman and just try to figure out something. Like a Hail Mary. And I think that could have been fun. And you did a really good job.
I was grasping for I was here just listening to you, Luffy, and Johnny, and just trying to grasp to anytime I heard sympathy from either of you, I just like try to dig a little deeper. It was very difficult. I mean, it was fun. And I mean, in the court of law, like I think the good part about this is like, since I was on his defense team, you know, the defense, like everybody deserves a fair trial.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was your burden. What is it? The burden of proof. It was I had to make a case to help my client, and if you feel he's guilty, you have to put on a strong case. And I felt like we did it justice. We really kind of represented it the way it should have been.
If you were the prosecutor, what would you have done differently?
If I was the prosecution, I mean, I think I would have just went as hard as you did. Like, really kind of I think I would have brought out a lot of what Luffy was bringing out with Snavid, as they point out. Kind of like that parallel where you have someone with a similar background, similar kind of, career, and just how different they reacted to their experiences, their trauma. So I probably would have tried to hone that in. But I think you did a fine job. I really I was left speechless many a times. And
I tried really hard.
No, you did a great job. There were many things that were just so funny, and I try to keep a straight face. I try to show no fear, but there was a lot of fear in my heart when you would speak. There's a lot of fear.
No, in an early draft of my opening statement, there are some remnants in there. If you go back and listen, you could catch it a little bit. But I went to like the FBI database and I found the official crimes of Osama bin Laden, and I was like, the Big Boss has done like 9 out of 10 of these things. Yeah. So like I was gonna have like a gimmick where like I would list the crimes and then I would shuffle some papers. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Those are the crimes of Osama bin Laden. They get mixed up rather easily. They're two very similar people.
That didn't make the episode, but that you told me about that, and I was like, oh my god. I was researching so much. I feel like I was proud of myself for my West Point comparison.
No, that was a good one.
That came out of that moment. I was trying so hard with the whole child soldiers and kind of like raising kids in that environment. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to grab onto anything.
No, that was a good argument. I feel like if I was in your shoes, I would have leaned into his bodily autonomy being taken away from him.
You're talking about like the twins, or you're talking about like...
Well, the early days, like the Bikini Atoll thing.
Yes.
The nuclear testing, and then there was the Les Enfants Terribles project. And just the very idea that this shadow organization put its like fangs in him and it wouldn't let him go. And like I think I would have leaned into something like if somebody broke into your house, would you not fight back? He was fighting back.
No, it's true. The entirety of his life, like he was hiding. He had to hide. He really did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot
Dude had the Illuminati after him, like his whole life. It's crazy.
It's this idea of he has done a lot of harm, and some of it was really for his own protection. For him, like he was fighting this battle of like doing what he felt was right, and moving forward with his idea of what the big boss of what the boss wanted, and then also while doing that was like, let me try to survive. Let me do everything I can to remain alive and hide. And so it wasn't an easy battle. And I think that's part of why we decided to do this trial anyway. We were thinking about this trial, I think, since the creation of this podcast series, no?
Yeah, no. To those who are listening, we have like a list of like episode ideas for us to do. And this was like one of the earliest ones. We were working on this for so long, mainly because like we just wanted right jurors, and we were just like, okay, we got to get good people.
Yeah, because we're not ones to do interviews. We're not ones to have people come on. Not that we don't want to, but I think we get nervous.
Yeah, we do.
We get very nervous. It's like our podcast, but we're like, are you guys having fun? Is this okay?
It's like inviting someone over your house, and you're like, do you want water? How about tea or coffee? Are you bored? Do you want to watch a movie? Do you want to watch a TV show? Do you want to play a board game?
Yeah, we don't know how to host people either on the podcast or in our house.
It's so finding people was the first hurdle, and I feel like Johnny and Luffy were the perfect match. Like they were really fucking cool.
Yeah, I feel like we could not have picked better jurors. I mean, we've worked with Johnny on his podcast, Metal Gear Resurrections. We met Johnny IRL at Metal Gear Solid Con.
That's another episode that we're doing.
Oh yeah, we hope we want to do probably the next episode of this podcast be a review of Metal Gear Solid Con. But we met Johnny there, and from all these months working with him on podcast episodes and working with him on this trial, if we felt like old friends. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we've worked with each other enough times where it just kind of like clicked, you know?
We met him at the coffee shop in the hotel. We were like, what's up?
It was cool.
It was just simple. But I say that to say he was so gung-ho about this just because he's just passionate about the series. He was so passionate. His like, from seeing his tweets about Big Boss or his like silly little posts, I thought he'd bring a good air of humor. And also too, like he's been a fan since the beginning of Metal Gear. So bring that kind of like expertise and lore into it. And then with Luffy Webster, I mean, you put me onto them. Mm-hmm. You had followed them on YouTube for a couple years, or since probably their beginning, I feel like.
Yeah, I followed them fairly early on. It was like oddly enough, like their Big Boss is a monster video or something like that. That was the title, I think. And I was like, they're cool. They're very knowledgeable about the lore. They're like, you could just tell through like their videos that they're like a really like, what's the word? Like a very, just like a cool person, you know, like I don't have proper grammar at this time, but like
the vocabulary is lacking.
It's lacking at the moment, but like, you know, like when you could just like eye a person and you're like, yeah, they're cool.
I mean, you put me onto them. I watch their videos. They do other videos on like Resident Evil as well. And there's always a little bit of humor in their videos. Mm-hmm. You could tell they're knowledgeable, but they're playful about it.
And I like that.
I like the joy and the levity they bring. And so when we were thinking about jurors, we're like, look, let's keep it at 2. We don't want too many people. We were like, let's shoot our shot. Because we're mutuals, but we're not like close.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's shoot our shot.
Let's
Let's
just
see. And they liked our silly little idea. So
And they were so fucking game. And I was so hyped. Like when we did our interview with Luffy, we had like a video call with them, and I think they said that they just finished recording a video because like when we got the video up, it looked like a YouTube video that we clicked on, and I was like, I think I openly went like, what the fuck?
it was too much.
Oh, it was so funny.
Too much like their videos.
They even did like the intro that they usually did. It was funny. But such an amazing pick. Like, I mean, I don't know if we would or if that would be anything down the line. I don't know. But with, like, we were even talking like, yo, if we had like a 4-person podcast with them,
Oh my god.
that'd be sick. That'd be so fun.
I look forward to collaborating with the 2 of them again. I mean, even we also met Luffy Webster in person, and they were just
Awesome.
they were again. It's like we've known them for so long, and I think having done this stupid little series we did, I think it was just fun. It was just fun and funny, and so meeting them, it was just a continuation of like that silliness.
I agree.
I don't think we could have picked better jurors. And I am grateful that they also, even though the deliberation was a little too quick for my liking.
Well, I mean, it's to bring it back to my early draft. It's like coming to a guilty verdict about Osama bin Laden. It's like, yeah, okay, like he did that shit.
Yeah,
like he did that.
I'm grateful that they kept open ears and an open heart. There were times where I felt like I might have swayed or stirred a little something in their hearts. And for that, I'm glad they what's the phrase? They played around a little bit with me.
To be fair, I think you did sway them. Cause like I think if you didn't try as hard as you did, they would have went like Supermax prison, deep dark hole.
Right? They were talking about therapy.
They were talking about therapy. And I don't think they would have said that if it wasn't for you.
I did bring up how reform. I mean, I'm very much about abolition and, reforming the prison industrial complex. And I think, you have to extend that to everybody. And that goes to Big Boss too. And I think that resonated with them. But you know what? If we're going to be about this, about fixing our prison system, that means Big Boss needs to also be a part of that as well.
That is true.
And that's hard. That's hard. It's a whole other episode.
I mean, at the core of it, at the core of this monster, it is just a little boy who needed a maternal figure.
Yeah, who wanted a family, who wanted a family, found a family, and then ultimately she betrayed him, and the next person in line was the United States government, and they didn't care about him.
I forget if I brought this up on the podcast before, but this is reminding me of The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. I talked about this with you before. I just forget. I forget if I talked about it here.
Okay, but go ahead, explain it again.
All right. The Cell is a movie starring Jennifer Lopez. I know. It's from like the early.
You put some respect on J-Lo's name, okay? Jenny from the Block.
Sure. It was from like the late 90s, early 2000s, and the idea of it was interesting. It's like a Inception, but instead of diving into the mind of like a normal person, you're diving into the mind of a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
And at the core of this person's mind, past all of the demons and the monsters that were dwelling in their mind, at the core...
Spoiler.
Sure.
People might want to see J-Lo. Wasn't she great in that movie?
It's actually not bad. The Cell isn't bad. So skip, I don't know, like a minute for spoilers. But I'm sure you're kind of already guessing what it is. There's like a little boy. And that was like the core of everything.
And what was wrong with the little boy? He just wanted a family.
He was like an abused little kid, and he just wanted help. And that was Big Boss.
That was Big Boss.
That was the core of it all.
You gotta peel those layers like an onion. You gotta peel through it, and in the midst of it is a little baby.
Past every demon, every monster, every bad thought. It was just some kid who just wanted to be held by mommy.
At the end of 4, where is he?
With mommy.
At her grave.
Yeah.
It all, and I don't think it really. Again, I don't think she's even it for him. I feel like she represents just what he wanted. You know, like she was that mother figure for him, but for Big Boss, he wanted a family. He needed a family. She was it until
the boss was the closest thing. That was the closest thing. And I think it's a fair point to, because like we touched on it in our deconstructing Big Boss video, where he never talks about his family. He never talked about anything going on in his personal life. And he's not the kind of guy that would omit that sort of shit. So like, why doesn't he talk about it? And like the only real reason, if you think about it, is he must have come from some sort of a broken home.
Yeah, it's he's hiding it, or maybe doesn't even want to think about it. It's a very deliberate choice.
Yeah.
So it's a very scarred and sad man. And I think the trial, we wanted to have fun. We felt like this was something that, you know, it's something that's always been battled with on the internet. Big Boss apologists versus people who are like, nah, he's a war criminal. So we thought, let's
throw our hat in the ring.
Let's hash it out.
Yeah.
And you know, we had these 2 jurors who, you know, felt he was guilty, and I think we both brought up a fair fight. But it's hard, you know, we had a jury of our peers, and I could only do so much. That coin flip ruined me. But I want it to be known I do not like Big Boss. Let that be known. And what is this, day 4, the last episode of the trial? Do not like him. There's no way to redeem him in my book. Okay, yes, whatever, therapy in jail, but he's done so much. He's done so much harm. And it's like, you have choices, you have autonomy, and you deliberately made many choices to harm. I can't take that lightly.
Can you name a nice thing about Big Boss?
He's very handsome.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
He's very handsome.
He is handsome.
And he looks great with a cigar.
Do you prefer him with the eye patch or without the eye patch?
Either or don't bother me.
Okay.
If I can say my preference for him is in 3 before everything happens, before it happens.
Okay, so the virtuous mission, that's your preference?
Yeah, when he was good, where the evil was only but a little bud in his heart. His capacity for torture was just
He was just a normal man doing a normal job.
And it's kind of scary when you think about it. Like, we're all normal people until the event happens, and then we have the capacity for just evil. Like, it's like Charmander. He became Charizard was I'm sorry, Okay, for Pokemon.
You're comparing him to Charizard?
Charizard's a dick, okay? Remember Charmander in the first Pokemon series? A lot of us listening are older. We remember. Charmander, his sad little story, it was raining, he had a little leaf over his tail, because if the fire was going to go out, and the lore with Charmander, so if the fire in his tail goes out, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. And so he had a little leaf over his tail with the fire just barely burning. And then Ash gets him and brings him, and that's Ash's Charmander. Mm-hmm. And then he becomes a teenager, and he's such a loser and a jerk. And Charmeleon is so mean. Then even worse, he evolves to Charizard, even worse. And to me, that's Big Boss. He's Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. Mm-hmm. He's Charizard. Redemption is possible, but I have yet to see it. That coin flip. I think the coin flip is trying to make me humble and empathize, and it did not work. but I did my job.
You did your job. It's hard being a defense attorney.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
Yeah, it's not but everyone deserves, because you can't just throw people to jail.
Oh, of course. And there are plenty of times where a defense attorney is defending someone who is legitimately innocent.
Yeah.
And it happens more often than you think.
Yeah, sometimes you have jobs where you have to like work with people who have committed acts, and you're like, okay.
I can't imagine being in that position. Like, yo, can you imagine being an attorney and you look at the evidence and you look at them and like, oh, dude, this motherfucker did it.
You're like, so
What's our plan? Like, I can't imagine being in their shoes.
I mean, everyone deserves justice and everyone deserves a fair. It's weird, right? You know, especially too when you're personally affected by it. I think it's funny we included the likes of like Paz and Chico, and because for them it's very real and it's very stuff happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to feel differently than people like us who weren't affected by Big Boss's terror. So it adds a whole other layer. It's like when you did your opening statement and you were like, I bet the families of his victims feel differently. And you're right.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, it's funny. This is all a joke and stuff, but it's also very representative of real
things.
And that's something that we try to do too. We try to make it kind of close to how an actual criminal proceeding would happen, as far as like jury deliberation and picking them. And
yeah, I mean, like everything was a little tongue in cheek, but the process was still as close as we could get it.
We thought we wanted to be a little bit. We take pride in what we do, so we try to be a little bit kind of official with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say first off to everyone who's like followed along and listened, thank you so much. Not only Luffy and Johnny, them enjoying it. It's hard for me to accept when they were like, this was fun, thank you both. But we went to Metal Gear Solid Con and people were like, yo, I love the trial. Great job.
Yeah, shout outs to Vault.
Yeah, Metal Gear Vault, yo, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
You know, there's people who just like spoke to us and they were just like, yo, great job. How are you doing it? I'm kind of sad it's over. We put so much time into this, and I feel like, I don't know, this was one of my favorite episodes of our podcast.
Yeah. It kind of broke the mold with what we usually do, but I had a lot of fun doing this. And maybe we'll do other trials in the future. We kind of alluded to other ideas during this trial.
I don't know if I want to do more, but hey, maybe we'll get I'll feel passionate about it in a couple of months.
If you were to ask me today, I mean, I wouldn't want to do it like right now. Mm-hmm. I want to let this digest a little bit. But if you were to ask me to do another one, I really like the idea of doing one for Solid Snake and Otacon.
That's a pretty good one.
Because it alludes to the original ending in 4, where they go to trial and then they get got. But like maybe we could like really see what they did and see if we would come to the same conclusion, and like try to look at the facts as objectively as possible and try to keep fan service, fanboyness out of it, you know?
I could see that. That's actually not bad. It'd be good parallel to this one too.
Yeah.
Big Boss.
Because on paper, this is the interesting thing. On paper, you could argue that Snake is kind of the same. Then he's like almost the same as Big Boss in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Where like Big Boss threatened the world with nuclear weapons and Metal Gears and stuff. Snake, on the other hand, he was like a menace. Like he would go to different organizations, different governments,
and infiltrate them.
Like imagine if there was like some sort of group that infiltrated different countries' top secret facilities and blew up their military equipment. That's crazy.
Yeah. It kind of goes back into that point with Big Boss of like, what makes you think what you're doing is right?
Mhm.
To Big Boss, he thought he was creating an image of the world that was good, just, or, he had his own image of the world.
Yeah.
Otacon and Snake did as well.
I think where you could draw the line, though, is Big Boss wanted an environment where there was like almost endless war. And Snake and Otacon were fighting to end the endless wars. So if you were I think the defense attorney would have an easier time because you could argue their motives a little bit. You could equate them to Greenpeace or something like that.
Yeah, it's just idea of terrorism, and that's where it gets murky.
You see, terrorism's like an interesting word.
Are you already picking your role for that?
I kind of am.
I think it'd be fair.
I want to be Saul Goodman. It sounds fun.
It's fun until it gets a little hot in the room and everyone's against you.
You gotta be quick on your feet. But the funny thing is, I feel like if we have the same jurors as last time, they'll be on my side again. So,
yeah, you know what? We'd have to pick maybe new or have multiple jurors. But this was amazing. Like we said too, Metal Gear Solid Con happened the past week, and it's funny, we came back to record this episode and we're just itching to do an episode on Metal Gear Solid Con.
Yeah, I am dying. I'm dying to talk about it.
I'm telling you, I think in 2 weeks we can do another episode. And it'll be strictly a Metal Gear Solid Con 1 retrospective, and then do...
So would that be like a 201? Like...
Yeah, I don't even... Our whole...
You see, our podcast is breaking down. The format doesn't make sense anymore.
After school special, we're just adding...
After school special, the health class, I don't know. Like, it's something.
We're just adding different little caveats to our podcast. Once we finish Metal Gear University and we make our general podcast, it'll be so much easier. The title could be whatever the hell we want.
That'd be fun.
I think I would like to do that.
I would love making titles. I would just say some bullshit.
Meow meow meow.
Yeah, it'd just be something stupid.
I think that'd be cool in like a year or two when we're done, because we have yet to. We did a lot of games so far in Metal Gear University, but we have 3, 4, Peace Walker, Gran Turismo.
There's a lot of people itching for 3.
I know.
There's a lot of people itching. The pressure's on for that one.
I also love the timing, because as of right now, Delta is slated to come out the end of this year. It is already almost August. And you know how long our episodes are. They're ridiculous.
No.
Hours.
Okay. This podcast started before the Master Collection came out. We started this podcast because of the Master Collection coming out. The idea of us doing 3 around the same time as Delta, I'm like, yo, it's like we're savants. We are destined to do this.
Idiot savants. We're meant to
just
be.
sharing the same brain cell. And every now and then, it's like a game of Pong. Like we just have some synergy going, you know?
Honestly, we do a pretty good job, if I may say so. And I think that's one of it. The timing is just impeccable. I cannot wait to talk about 3. And then we probably should have an episode that's describing the differences between 3 and Delta.
Oh, I would love to do that. Honestly, it's probably just gameplay. Like, from what I understand, if I was... Okay, me talking right now, I don't know. Maybe they do something. I don't know. But from what I understand, it just seems to be like a 1-to-1. And they're just kind of updating the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I would love to discuss the differences in the gameplay. It seems pretty cool.
I can see Skullface being somewhere.
I would want that to be so bad.
I think, let's not get too into it, but I think they're going to add some things to keep it fresh.
Yeah, and...
Like, I'm thinking about Resident Evil 4, they kept it fresh.
Like, they don't even need to, like, bring back the voice actor for Skullface. Like, I think... to those who've played 4, like, you know, in chapter 3 or act 3 rather, in Eastern Europe, and if you're in like a certain area and you turn around, you could see like those dwarf gecko things and like the pea coat and the hat looking at you.
Yeah.
Just have an incident like that.
Oh my god.
Where like
with a Hamburglar just watching you from the back.
like it doesn't have to be in every area. It could be like in 1 and 2 areas of the game where if you turn around at a right moment, you could see Skullface, and I think that would be so sick. That would be so cool. You don't even need to give him a voice. You use your binoculars, you zoom in, and you're like, oh, I see him, and then that's it. I would love that.
I would be shocked if they don't do that. I would be shocked because I think too this is really their gauge of like where they want the series to go, what the fans want. So, but to end this episode, one of our shorter ones, it's probably under an hour, which lovely for us to edit.
Yeah, bad for you guys, but you know, sorry, I don't know what to say.
We just came back. Also, too, we got to do a whole episode on our trip. We left during the IT outage. It was a hell of a trip.
Yeah. In our defense, we are very jet lagged while recording this, so cut us some slack, man. We're
stupid,
but it'll be back at its normal university self next episode. In more ways than one, it'll be a normal episode of Metal Gear University. I think
maybe. You now you see you said
I'm giving false promises.
You set up the stage for something.
I know. We're destined for failure.
No, take it back.
Okay, I take it back.
Okay, this was a fantastic series. Attorney T, Tom,
Attorney K, Crystal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're shaking hands for those.
Yeah, we're actually shaking hands.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know why, because you can't see that, but.
Well, I wanted to express my appreciation and admiration for your prosecution of Big Boss. It was an uphill battle, but I enjoyed it, and I wouldn't have wanted to do this with anyone else. And I would like a nice break before our next trial if we do one. But as much as I hate Big Boss, I empathize with him. I see what happened. I see the complexities of his character. I did not want to be his defense, but it was a fun role to play. And I love some of the YouTube comments are like, how are you even going to do this? And I tried. I tried my best. It was great. And I'm looking forward to going back to the regular scheduled Metal Gear University episodes.
Same. I don't know what else to add to that. But I'll just continue on by saying everyone that we saw at the con, to those who listen to the podcast, to those who don't, so I guess I'm just saying this to the ether. I loved meeting with everyone there. Everybody was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I did not meet anybody there who I did not have a good conversation with.
A corny phrase, but it really was good vibes. It really
was.
It's being back home. I miss New York so much, but I'm kind of getting the post-con blues.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hitting now that I'm like, damn, vacation's over, Metal Gear Solid Con is over. It was really fantastic, and I'm just grateful to people who have listened. And sorry, it was your turn to speak. I just jumped in again.
You're good.
But no, I mean, it's just a great podcast series right now. This trial series we did, and I'm sad it's over. Big Boss is guilty, everybody. He is guilty against what I had hoped.
I'm okay with it. Also, shout outs to Survivor Type for making that sketch work that we used.
Oh, not only did Survivor Type, not only did he do the sketch of Big Boss with the mugshot, he also did the piece of us, at the little table deliberating. Survivor Type, thank you so much for just your work and taking that commission with no issue. It was so appreciated. I look at it every time and I giggle because just Big Boss in a suit. Like, shut up.
It's
You're going
so
to jail.
Funny.
You are going to jail. Don't even bother. But it's so great. Yeah, shout out to you as well. Thank you for that tea. Um, I guess we'll end this here. As always, if you have any question, comments, concerns, suggestions, you can email us at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing your comments. If you agree or disagree with the verdict. Anything else, T?
I think we touched base on everything.
All right.
This was a great experience. Thank you all for sharing in our weird project.
We just a bunch of silly little guys.
Yeah.
Just doing whatever the hell we want. Everyone have a good one. Thanks for listening and see you next time.
Bye.